We're just going to talk about how'd you get into racing? Where'd you start from that got you to this championship? Hanging out with Earl on the weekend.
Oh, man.
All the embarrassing stuff he does. It'll be easy.
There's more than one of me out there.
Yes. My
embarrassing stuff.
My mother calls the podcast the old man gab session.
Well, as my wife would say, it's the geriatric gab session.
Yeah.
His dad and I are about the same age, and that's what his wife calls us.
Which
I sent
one
you a
of you-
picture of her, Bonnie.
Which one of you is Jerry?
Oh, Jerry. Got it. All right.
Casman, you good?
They missed.
All right. Be sure and hit the record button.
It's on.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
There we go. And welcome back to the Hot Rod Lounge. My name is Travis. This is what episode are we on? I have no idea what episode.
I don't know.
4, 3, 4. I don't know.
Season 2, episode 4.
Sure.
3.
Sure. Hey, we're sponsored by Riverside Ford of Tulsa, where Riverside always wants to know that they're always by your side. And brought to you by Scotch Media Productions, because that's just what we do. And we have, I know I say this, and I'm not going to say it this time. We have a great show.
Great show. Here we are on the patio at T. Maria.
T. Maria. I'm supposed to say, as a podcast,
Right.
this podcast actually is about everything cars.
Everything.
So if you've just tuned in, you have no idea what this is. This is just a bunch of guys talking about cars.
It's about cars, cake, coffee.
And today we're talking about kind of a cool car.
Cool car.
Or cars and stuff. So we've got...
Wait, we got to do the introduction. Hey, did you get here without running out of gas?
I did. I got here without running out of gas.
Shane, let me ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
How many times in your life, not the race car, but have you driven around town in a car that has a destination to empty gauge? Have you run out of gas?
0.
Travis calls me the other day, my truck's broke. What's wrong with your truck? It quit running. It says 10 miles to empty. I said, it's out of gas, bro.
Now, I have run out of gas with the old school gauge, and it said I had a half a tank, and it left me on the side of the highway.
Okay.
Well, 10 miles to empty. I mean, come on.
This said,
that's a little bit.
This said, go get gas. Okay, so your truck, your personal truck.
You want to do the introduction?
You want to do the introduction?
Do the introduction.
You need
Okay.
to.
So you know who your guest is.
Here's Randy
He
Pitts.
can edit all this out of there.
Okay, so
I won't edit. That's good content.
with us, Steve Hahn can't be with us tonight. He, for some reason, has decided to get a job.
I know that stupid job.
Stupid jobs, get in the way. Let's all quit. Unemployment.
I'm in.
I'm in. Well, you work from home. I mean, come on.
I still work.
How you gonna quit that job?
I tell you, I'm also rather have a job where I go to and I can go work and then come home.
And then normally to my right, but tonight to your left, we have the man, the myth, the legend. The Duke of Earl. And for those that don't know that joke, I called him Prince Earl forever, and he didn't like it.
Oh, that's a good one.
So now we got
Yes.
Duke of Earl.
Prince Earl.
Prince Earl. Well, see, we had on our show, we had King Gary, who's president of Shelby American.
He met him in June.
And we kept calling him Prince. Well, he didn't like it, so we come up with Duke of Earl.
Duke of Earl.
And then Mr. Caspian behind the cameras because TJ
There's no excuse.
is tired.
Work one day.
He worked full time today, and he's tired. And then, to my right, what?
You. Who are you?
They all know who I am, Earl.
Randy Pierce.
Randy
ladies and
Pierce.
gentlemen.
50 years in the automotive business.
40, Earl. 40.
Well, a little more of that hair gone, and it will be 50.
40.
All right.
I pray I don't make 50 years in the automotive industry. Okay? Ugh. Can you imagine, Travis?
No. I mean, we've been at 20, 25,
You and I have been together 25 years, right here at the store,
and it's
at this store.
been too long.
Too long.
I can understand that.
And in 25 years, I've ran out of gas. Never. Never. So the gentleman to my right, we always talk about getting some cool folks on the show. I think this is it. Okay?
I agree.
Shayne Lawson, who holds the Funny Car Chaos. Is it a national championship, Earl? National championship.
In the series that he runs in.
Yep. In his top fuel, alcohol burning Mustang.
Earl, why don't you introduce us to our guest?
All right. All jokes aside.
All jokes aside.
I've been on Shayne's team this is my 4th year,
Okay.
I believe, isn't it?
Yes.
4th year.
You put up with him 4 years?
Yes.
It's been a struggle.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
With all his teammates, not just me. And last year, it was an up and down year for the Funny Car Chaos series that Shayne runs in. Went to normally 8 tracks, but we went to 7. One of them was rained out. And up down races, you won 2, Shayne? Won 2 events?
No, we won 1. We runnered up 2, and semifinals at every one but 1.
But 1. So when you add the points up, just like the other racing series do, he was the champion up here at Mocan.
Mocan.
He has the trophy behind you to prove it.
The trophy. Can you see that trophy, Caspian? Hang on.
By 1 point.
It's true by 1 point.
Hey, look. W is a W,
That's
man.
right.
It
That's
don't
right.
matter.
There it is. Thanks, Caspian.
There you go.
Okay.
That's
his formal introduction. Now, you can take away
That's
with
a dandy trophy. What I want to know is why Earl's been driving around with this strapped to the hood of his truck.
Well, he's having relapse of his old days of the 4-speed. Back in his era.
And so we got
the T-handle, which is on the hood of that Mustang hood right there.
It is
You
on
see
the
that
hood.
Hearst on there?
I do.
That's what that
He's
means.
probably hoping Linda Vaughn hop in with him.
Yeah. He's met her, too.
Yes, he's. Unfortunately, most of our listeners, I don't know that they know who Linda Vaughn is.
I have no idea who that is.
Okay, put it in the. Oh no!
Oh, man.
Oh, wait.
And you're a car guy?
No.
He's not.
Oh.
He's a.
I'm the comic relief.
I got you.
I drive a Mustang. You have a pretty hot rod Mustang. Steve has a Mustang. Earl has a Mustang. Travis drives a Ranger.
Ford Ranger.
A Ranger.
The old Ranger.
The old Ranger. Hey, you know what?
Well, it's not an old Ranger. It's one of the new Rangers.
Other than the gas issue that I'm having lately, and I still think it's a gauge issue.
Shows 10 miles to go.
It's not old school. It's not analog or nothing,
I know. Well, that's the thing. Is it would go all the time go down to a mile or 2, and I go get gas. 10 miles. I mean, it came up and said it's time to get gas, but I was like, all right.
But let's ask this. This is the second time you've done this, correct?
Ooh, not good.
At 10 miles to empty.
No. The first time it said 4 miles to empty.
Oh, he was trying to push it at 4 again. That's what I'm hearing.
We need to change the subject.
So
Moving right along. Randy, get going with your questions.
Can you do this? Hold your finger up right there in that camera. Look at that, boys. That's what a championship ring looks like. And we've been asking Earl, as friends of his, when he was going to bring us ours. And they have not shown up, and he just...
You had to be on the team.
We did.
Yep.
Yeah. We supported physically, mentally.
And prior to your walking in here, he said, Riverside Ford might sponsor that
Here's the
car.
problem. Probably not.
Probably not. We'll put it on the showroom floor here. He can bring it in here. Now he's getting interested.
I want to hear him run it across the parking lot.
He can do that too.
That'd be so cool.
So let's go back. Shayne, first race, when did you start drag racing? Did you start drag racing or did you start with something else?
No, I started in drag racing. I started actually, in 93 in the juniors.
Okay.
When it first came out.
And what did you race?
It's a junior dragster.
Okay.
We started with that, and then got out of that. I was in high school sports, and then we went back to a dragster, big car. I was 17 in a naturally aspirated dragster that went 890s to 860s.
Wow.
At 100.
Hey, Travis, that's fast, bro.
I know.
Okay.
I did a little research.
So I did a little research. So yeah, I was actually still in high school when I started that deal, and then it just progressed from there. And then 2006, I went to the funny car, and I ran it for 2 years. And then I went back to a dragster, drove off and on for people till 2016, I think, and on the NHRA circuit, and won several Wallies, several national events, several regional races.
Has your family been involved with racing? I mean, is this like a...
So my dad Dad started in 83.
Okay.
And he went to 91, and then he got out of it. And then when the juniors came out, we started back. And then once we got hectic in sports, we laid off for a while and then picked it back up my senior year.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Tell us the story your dad tells about when he put you in the seat of that top dragster.
Oh.
It's a pretty good story.
Yeah. Well, football was over, and I said, Dad, I'll start racing again. He's like, I don't think it'd be a good idea. It's just too expensive. He finally decided to do it. He's like, well, I'm going to run it first, then you can drive it and see what you think. And, the ultimate goal was just to swap people in the seat, me and him take turns. Well, needless to say, that never quite happened. Once I got in, I never got out.
Right.
So he always tells her all the time that he should never let me get in the seat because he never got it back.
Never should have let my son get in there because I never got it back.
Well, the great thing now, though, his wife knows who to blame for this car issue that he has.
Right.
Addiction.
I mean, it's racing is plumb. And I'm going to be the first to admit, I'm not a huge drag race guy. Okay, I could dump a fortune in a car to run at Hallett road course. Okay, but what these guys do is amazing because you heard him say he had an 8-second car.
Right.
And you were running a quarter mile, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah, that's boys, that's getting it.
Has it changed a lot since you've even started? I know the answer is, we've changed, but even since you've started to now, it's got to be a lot different.
It is. It's changed astronomically.
Right.
Back, so the caliber car that I'm running today, back then, if you could run 620s in quarter mile,
right,
you were doing something. And now you better run 550s,
wow,
540s.
Open your eyes there, Randy.
Or you're going
oh
home.
my
You
Lord.
blink. The light went on. You went through the traps.
Yeah. Listen to that again. 550, Travis.
know.
Do you know what he's talking about?
yeah.
That's like Dion running a 4.240, buddy. Okay. We took Travis to the drag strip and timed him with the calendar. Okay.
They have not. We have not been to the drag strip yet.
Uh,
Actually, Earl, we just talked about it. And he's said he'd get me down on the. I learned what the Christmas tree was.
Oh, the lights, yeah.
Right.
Sorry, line. Okay.
They gave me a hard time about not knowing what the tree was. So he said, "Well, I'm going to get you down there. We're gonna get you to experience that. We haven't done it yet. Maybe this year we can do it."
Oh, you're going to be there for the event.
Well, we got an event
You can
at Tulsa
talk about
in
the event.
April.
Oh, you do?
yes.
They're all coming, not just Shayne, but hopefully 40 more.
Awesome. What really got Travis interested in drag racing was Earl explained to him what a bug was. And
That's really not true. But I didn't know what a bug was. He did explain to me what it was.
I sent him that picture of your wife and PB,
Oh.
his daughter Pamela, both of them backing up a car.
and then we interviewed. What was the lady that we had on here?
Angela.
Pinup
Angela.
girl, Angela. That's
Pinup
right.
girl. She's coming.
Okay.
for
Yeah.
the pinup contest.
And Travis was like, I could get into drag racing. I see the appeal.
She was the one sitting in Alberti's car
So
at Starbird.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
When you started, I'm going back to the
let's go
subject
back
here.
to the subject.
When you started racing, I know that he talks about alcohol and some other types of engines that you're running, but did you just start off with just regular, like drag racing, or was it always the high octane, high?
Yeah, it's always been the high octane. So the car I very first started in it, we run 115 octane.
Okay.
And it was probably a 14 to 15 to 1 compression motor.
Okay.
Wow.
See, back then that was a 522, and that was considered a pretty good sized motor. But now that's a baby.
Really?
For that class, yes. A lot of them run like 632s now.
Oh my goodness.
That's cubic inches.
Yes, that's.
And I mean, and that thing back then, carbureted, made 1,000 horsepower.
1,000 horsepower.
What are you at now?
About 4,000.
Jeez. That's a lot.
Yeah. They're going to get lit up out here in April.
And you think about, so you got a 4,000 horse motor, okay, and you're turning it
10.2.
10.
We shifted at 10,200 RPM.
There you go. That is, and you wonder why when things come apart, they come apart, okay?
And we talked a little bit about that too, but how often do you go through engines?
Yeah.
Typically, we don't. My crew chief, Ken Singleton, he's got a really good handle on this thing, and we very rarely heard it.
Really?
Yeah. Probably the worst we've heard it was when we were in Louisiana, and we were in the finals. We were about 4 to 500s behind.
Right.
And I just told him, I said, I don't care what you do, just don't kick the rods out of it. I said, if you burn it up, you burn it up, but don't blow it up.
Right.
We burned it up all right, but it burnt 2 pistons out of it, and it burnt from one to the next, and it burnt through the sleeve and through the block.
Right.
It was a pretty good one. But as far as actually having to swap motors, like we cycle rods every 25 runs.
Okay.
We check bearings every 2 runs.
Okay.
Spark plugs are, every other run. Oils every 3 runs. But essentially, obviously, if there's something wrong, then, the blower and heads and all that will come off. I mean, that does happen.
Right. You can do an engine swap right then and there?
Oh, yeah.
Like at the event?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a spare under the cabinet. It's got grab handles on the
Really?
head studs.
Really?
Yeah, we just slide it out and grab a hold of it. And
So is it pretty much kind of bolt in, bolt out type of thing? I mean, is it obviously it's a regular car has air, has all the mechanics and stuff of a regular, but is it pretty much just kind of, and I don't mean to say basic in the fact that it's a basic engine. I mean basic as far as like it's an engine, transmission, and this, and that's it? Or
correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So they're designed to come apart.
Okay.
So the way they're laid out, like we can pull the manifold, the supercharger, and all that off in about 12 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So,
So if you do blow it,
Right.
you're not out.
No.
Okay.
No.
And did you say you carry one spare in the truck?
Yes.
One
One
spare
complete
motor?
spare, yeah.
So now when you say complete, blower and all.
No blower,
No,
just
okay.
long block.
Okay, long block.
Because typically the blower, you don't ever hurt those things. Unless you suck something through it.
So in between races, he can pull one, put in another, and go back to
And
racing.
not even miss a beat.
Not
Correct.
miss a beat.
Correct.
So
But that pit and his crew, it is buzzing.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Get away, move. Where is this?
And the only thing I've ever seen is watching the NHRA on TV.
Very similar.
And you watch them in the pits, and they tear a motor down and put it back together between races.
90 minutes.
Yeah, and because I go back here in the shop, we're right here at the Ford store. We got a shop in the back, and it'll take those guys a fast one, 20, 25 hours.
Right.
Pull a motor out of a car, put a new one back in it, and get it
Hours.
running. Hours. They
Well,
do
but
it. They do it in minutes.
Minutes.
Well, that's kind of my point, though, because an engine like this still has all of the electronics and everything else that goes with it. Are there what's the electrical part? Is there?
We run a system what they call Fuel Tech.
Okay.
It does have sensors and stuff on it.
Right.
So obviously all that stuff has to be unhooked.
Right. Computers, I assume.
Yes, but not like a typical computer for a street car.
Okay.
But yes, we do have to unhook sensors and of course fuel lines and grounds and all that kind of stuff. But like I say, we do have it set up where it's very accessible and very easy to do.
Right. I would assume it's the plan is that if we do blow it, I need to get in and out of there about as fast as I can.
Correct. So a lot of our stuff's like Ondoid's connectors and stuff like that. So it's just unplug it and go.
Right.
And you talk about the difference in racing, maybe from when you started and now. At one time, if you wanted to get more horsepower out of a car, it was carburetors and distributors, and you had to go in, and it was a whole lot harder to pick up 15 horsepower. Nowadays, he talks about when he hurt this car in Louisiana, they probably turned it up with a computer. Plugged in, reset the parameters.
Well, that one, no. So we actually spun the overdrive up. We was actually out of pump. We kind of thought we were, but I was like, well, we got to do something.
Right.
To beat the opponent.
But
Right,
I mean,
absolutely.
it worked. We won, but it lit it up at the finish line. So
Boom.
yeah, it was a big boom.
Yeah, it did go boom. With a little fireball. Not big, just small.
Just small fireball.
It blew the.
We all jumped.
It blew the blower off of it. I mean, we got straps that contain it, and of course, it sheared every stud, hit the end of the straps.
Right.
I mean, of course, that's in my, it's
That's
right
in your lap.
Yes.
That's what they don't understand.
Yes.
Well, I was just going to ask. That's got to be dangerous. I mean, I know that racing is
Well,
dangerous.
I straddled the transmission.
Yes, he
Oh,
does.
wow.
Now, you remember when we were at John
John
Neese's
Neese's.
place
Okay, yeah.
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Right.
And you remember looking now.
Those were the old school drags.
The
Yeah,
FEDs.
but still, his motor's right there.
He's in the same position.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Only his legs don't go over the
The rear end
the
housing.
rear end housing.
It's into my
right.
butt.
Right.
Right.
It is but the rest of it, I mean, the motor, blower, and everything is from me to that into that gray table.
So, for example,
2 or 3 feet.
yes.
Yeah.
So when we do like the burnout and back up, as I'm backing up, the transmission actually walks in the car.
Really?
So like I can feel it push on one leg harder than the other when I'm making corrections.
Wow.
You're going to
So
get
you
to see
could
all
use-
this in person.
So you probably feel when there's something going on with it then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The shifter is actually hooked directly to the transmission.
So
Correct.
it's like right there.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. It scared me to death, but I mean, it's cool.
I mean, if you watch like his car in the pictures that Earl showed, did you send? I looked at the pictures. I don't remember. Did you have one where the body was up, where you could see?
Yeah.
He
It's
crawls.
at Albuquerque when you're pulling down that long road.
Oh yeah.
Right.
The body's up, and the mountains are in the background.
Right.
That's why it's a nice picture.
That's what people don't understand when you get around them things. And like he says, the motor's right there.
Right.
So when it comes apart, he's right there. When he can you imagine sitting inside that car at full tilt boogie and the blower
Right.
comes off of it? I mean,
So I know as
that's
a
horrible.
yeah.
It'll get your attention.
Yeah,
It's making 60 pounds of boost.
Randy's Shelby right here makes about 8.
That's what we can say on a good day.
It makes 8 psi, and yours makes
60.
60.
Jeez. So as you're racing and you have all these different kind of race, I mean, there are obviously different teams, and I know drivers have a lot to do with how well and how we drive and that kind of thing. But I mean, how much does a good pit crew? I mean, how much does that role that person contribute to the success of the race car?
So how I explain this to everybody is basically drag racing is a lot like football.
Right.
Okay. Essentially, your driver's the quarterback.
Right.
Quarterback's one that always gets all the glory,
Right.
but that's not the case.
Right.
Because I'm gonna tell you right now, it's your guys behind the scenes that make it happen.
Right.
If you don't have those guys and you don't have a good crew, you're not successful. It's just like a quarterback. If their offensive line's terrible, I don't care how good of a quarterback he is.
Right.
He's not going to shine because he can't, because he has nothing in front of him.
And it's down to every person, I assume.
Absolutely. It's from
the guy changing tires to
all of it, from sponsorships to every part counts.
Right.
And in my eyes, they're all equal as far as like the importance of them.
Right.
Because if you don't have it all, like it takes a lot to win a championship.
Right.
And you have to have all the right people in the right place, the right sponsorships. All that takes part.
Right.
And if you don't have all that lined up, it doesn't work.
Right.
And the big thing is, I tell people, the race is won at the racetrack, but when I say this, championships are won at the shop
yeah.
on your preparation before you leave.
So I was thinking about that Days of Thunder. I know it's not really the same, but I mean, when he's setting up the shop, they're talking about they're all equal, and he's like, there's nothing stock about a stock car. and I know you're not stock cars, but I mean, the technology's there for everybody.
Sure.
Correct.
You know what I
Most
mean?
of them have it.
Right. So it does come down to, the driver, obviously, but that team, when you guys are together, I assume that's when you can feel it when you're clicking.
Oh, for sure. Like, everybody's got their designated jobs. I'm real big on routine. So
Right.
everybody does the same thing, obviously. Even when it comes to starting the car, to lowering the body, to all that.
Right.
Like, it's if you watch my team, it don't matter if it's 1 run or 10 runs, it's going to look the same.
Right.
From the time they tow it up there to the time we make the run, when they come down there to get me, they all do the same thing, run after run after run.
Right. Everybody has the exact same job every single time.
Yep.
So everybody knows, like, if someone doesn't poke over your shoulder, you're just like, wait, where are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, they all know, and they won't, like, when it's go time, they're not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like, they're on a mission to get the
just
job done, and then once we're done for the day, then it's do whatever you want. But,
Party time.
right?
Go.
You talk about Days of Thunder?
Yep.
You remember when he was coming in the pits and the dude was eating ice cream?
Right.
That was Earl. Earl's the guy in the pits eating ice cream.
That is true. That is true.
Well, that's what he says. He says, I need to come in and pit. And he goes, you can't. He said, why is it? We're busy. Doing what? Eating ice cream.
Yes. That was the best part of the show.
And they were.
They were. How many guys you got on your team, brother? How many total?
Total actual crew people, I think it's 6, Earl.
6. And then some come in. We got
Right.
one guy comes, Big John comes from Kansas City.
Right.
He meets the car. And then
Double D's in
Double D
Dallas.
comes out of Dallas. His tuner, Ken Singleton, comes out of Chickasha. So the whole team just converges for 3.5 to 4 days.
So let's talk about that. You take 10 guys, gals, on the road, okay, and you set up at a drag strip. Obviously, you got to house them, feed them, shower them, shave them,
Pay them.
pay them. How do you house everybody at the racetrack?
So until this year, what I've done is I had a toter home.
Okay.
A couple of guys could stay in there, and then I also had a motor home. And then everybody else stayed in the motor home.
Right.
But this year I made some changes because I was tired of spending bukus and diesel. So I went to a bigger toter. I went to a 45-footer.
Oh, nice.
And
It's huge.
it'll sleep majority of the people in there. And then what can't sleep in there, the trailer is a stacker. So there's beds in there. Of course, it's got central heat in there
Sure.
and all that stuff too. So, of course,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. Of course, the toter's got the shower, and then of course we have to feed them all. So, and thanks to Earl, he takes care of all that.
Earl said he did the cooking.
He does do the cooking.
Yeah. The driving and the cooking.
But it's a lifestyle, right? I mean, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just not as fast on the motor as I used to be.
yeah. It's a,
I know how to take them apart and put them
Yes,
together,
you
but
do.
it's quick.
Yeah.
I mean, Shayne, they all laugh, and his dad, Kelly, too. That's young man's work.
Oh,
and Mackenzie.
Yes.
Her. That's young man's work.
Young man's work. Well, we can see that right out here in our shop. I bet the average age of the tech in our shop is less than 30 years old, 25-ish. Yeah.
Less than 30.
They're coming right out of Tulsa Tech with, hands-on, ready to go.
Wide-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yep, we got one OG.
Old guy.
Yeah, and that's your buddy Gary Harris,
Transmission expert.
expert.
40 years of being a transmission guy.
oh man,
He's cool.
He had
so he's a Lanny Maples.
Same guy.
few years back, you remember Gary had a heart attack, and they drew his blood at the hospital and found out it was 80% mercon. I mean, it was,
Transmission fluid.
Back transmission fluid.
I wouldn't doubt that.
so I can't imagine.
Well, I can't imagine being on the road that much.
Yeah, how many weeks a year are you on the road, brother?
Oh, with testing and everything, depends on if we throw anything in the middle. This year is not too bad. We run about 10 weekends out of the year. Now, whenever in an HRA, it was a lot. know, I'd run 12, 14, 15 races a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And that's a lot.
And you look at the NASCAR guys run, it's like 32 or 36 weeks a year now. They start in February and run to November.
Do you guys do lots of like pranks on each other and stuff?
Yes.
I mean, you know, you get a crew together for long periods of time. I'm sure there's stories there.
Oh, I mean, sometimes, but honestly, my guys are pretty. You know, they're there to do a job.
Okay.
And they every once in a while they'll get out and cut loose a little bit.
Right.
But for the most part, they're pretty straightforward, and we're there to try to get that W and get a championship.
Yeah.
So what's Funny Car Chaos? What's the next step in the race team? Do you keep running in this series, or do you want to move and do something else?
So I've done the NHRA thing. Now, don't get me wrong, it's fun. It's a lot, like you said, it's a lot more time consuming. To go run for a national title in the same class that I'm running, you got to run about 16 races a year.
Wow.
So it takes a lot. Like the guy I used to drive for, Randy Meyer, he does it, and it's a constant go all the time.
Right.
And to be honest, I just don't have the time to do that right now with, you know, having a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Right.
Yeah.
That are in sports.
Right. Like
and Pamela drag races.
Right.
She does that, and she's in basketball, and like we got basketball tonight.
So your little one, Pamela's I assume your daughter?
Yeah, my daughter, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's times it's like I go to the shop, go to games, come back.
Right.
I mean, me and Earl even left the PRI show early so I could get back for her basketball.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a tough balance, and if you throw, you know, another 8 races in there with it, it'd be real hard.
Right.
So to that point, Travis, he said when he was doing NHRA and 4 years ago when I saw the trophies that he has, he's got the NHRA trophies in big wallies and belt buckles and all that cool stuff. But the 16 weeks of racing, there's another week back at the shop.
Right.
So now you're at 32 weeks working on one car.
Right.
That's correct.
Out of 52?
Oh, lots of money. So
Bukus of money.
do you said you carry 2 engines in the truck.
Yes.
Do you have more than one car, or you just have one car that everything goes in?
Just one.
Just one. Okay.
Just one.
You don't show up at the racetrack with 2 cars and a trailer, and because I've seen some guys do that.
Let me interject in that. If his daughter Pamela is racing the junior, there is another car in there that has to be prepped and raced and take her up there. It's an ordeal to run 2 cars.
Is that fun to see your daughter, or is it scary?
No, it's not. It's not scary to me.
Right.
Oh, I love it. I mean, I have just as much fun watching her as doing it myself.
Right. Is that the next generation of this team, do you think?
I would say so, because my son, she started when she was 4. I put her in a car at 4.
Oh, wow.
And he's 5. He'll be 6 this summer. There's no way.
Really?
No way. He's just too wild.
Right.
You know, I told her on the way the first time she drove that thing, I said, here's the deal. I said, if you see me do this, it means this. You know, gave her multiple hand signals.
Right.
The time we got there, I said, what's this mean? And she could name it word for word.
Really?
And what it meant. And so
she's got it in her blood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's very, she actually has 2 cars. She's got a junior dragster and a junior funny car, which her funny car looks just like mine. First time she drove it, I wouldn't say I got nervous, but I was just like, because that thing there's a pretty good crosswind. That thing was pushing her around pretty good, and she was fighting it. And I thought to myself, you better get out of that gas pedal. But
I need your Ranger key. You're blocking the door, and I guess I got to get a car off the showroom floor. Way to go, Travis.
Sorry. Excuse me.
no, you're good.
And for folks, we're on the showroom at Riverside, so
sorry.
it's live.
It's
okay?
live here, so I apologize. Well, that's kind of fun. I mean, that's exciting. I mean, you get this. I mean, to watch the next generation, because obviously, at some point, you know, it's going to get hard for Dad to sit in that in the cockpit. And
I mean, I will say she's very smart about it. Like her second run of the thing, it really started hunting around pretty good. Then I heard her get off the gas, and then she got back on it. And I thought, okay. So I went in and asked her, I said, hey, did you pedal the car? And she was like, yeah. I said, well, why'd you do that? She goes, well, Dad, it was getting real wiggly. I said, okay. I said, well, how'd you know to do that? She goes, well, I've seen you do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, wow.
And so
Smart.
I was like, fair enough. But I think she thought she was in trouble.
Yeah.
But I was just curious of why she did it.
Right.
So
the instincts are there, though. I mean, that's probably 90% of it, really. I would think.
It is. It is.
Anybody, I don't want to say that. I shouldn't. Anybody can sit in a car and drive, but it takes a special person to be able to, like, drive it.
I can tell you this, first time I drove one at this caliber, I couldn't tell you squat at what happened.
Right.
It was so fast. I had no clue.
Right.
I even went to one of the old time guys named Roger Bateman. I even asked him about it. I said, Roger, I don't know what happened. He just started giggling. He's like, you're all right.
But that's instincts, though. I mean, that's the natural instinct part of it. That's awesome.
But I look over and do everything else. But
You're probably like, hey, all right.
He got a cup of coffee in the car with him now.
To this series, a little bit of a different when we were both talking NHRA and they run quarter mile. So correct me if I'm wrong. This series runs 8th mile.
Okay.
8th mile.
That's the car moving on the floor,
background.
folks. That's what that is.
Tell them your best time in mile per hour, because I know the mile per hour because I sent him the picture.
Right.
But I didn't have a.
We've been in the 360s at 211.
Oh.
Wow.
8th mile.
8th mile. That's what I was going to say. That's an 8th mile run.
So when he said you blink, he's already through the timing lights on the other end.
360 miles an hour, Travis. Can you imagine?
No, 3.6 seconds.
Oh, I'm sorry.
3.6
At
seconds.
211 miles an hour.
211.
211.
Well, that's still quick.
And 660 feet.
I've gone
660 feet. That's 2 football fields, give or take.
Yep.
You know?
I've been 125. It's the highest I've ever driven, fastest I've ever driven.
Yeah.
And it was scary, to be honest with you. I mean,
It was.
you got up to 125, I was like, all right, I'm done.
It was not in that Ranger
It was.
No.
It was.
No.
with the gauge doing this.
It was 125 at 10 miles to empty, boys and
That's
girls.
right.
Here you
That's
go.
right.
So, you know,
Yeah.
hey, whoa.
Yeah.
We gave John Neese all day.
I
Yeah,
know.
but he's got a
a-
9-year-old
I know
that's
he's got a
looking for Dad to
9-year-old.
come in the door.
So, piece of advice. You know, we got lots of, we're up to 10, 20 listeners now. Okay. So you take a young man that's sitting at home or a young lady, and they're watching a podcast, they're listening, and they want to, hey, I think I might want to do this. How do they start down that road? What's the,
Yeah, your advice on that.
yeah, how do you get started?
Well, I don't recommend starting off with what we're doing, obviously.
Right.
There's,
Like the junior cars.
yeah, so when you can run those until you're 17. If you're younger, that's a good place to start, obviously.
Right.
If you're past 17, I mean, there's multiple options. You can go to, there's a couple different driving schools you can go to, depending on what you want to do. Obviously, you have to get licensed.
Right.
So you have to, there's certain stuff you got to pass to be able to do it.
What's the license age?
For big car,
Yeah.
16.
Okay, so it's just
Yep.
I didn't know, because sometimes, races could be different.
But there's stipulations, like my class, for instance, you got to go so fast. ET-wise, it's got to be so quick. Mile per hour's got to be so fast.
It all has to be witnessed and documented.
3 different drivers in that category or above have to witness it and sign off on
okay.
it.
If you screw up, you get to start over a few years later, a few months later.
So you don't pass the test and say, okay, I'm ready.
Correct.
I was fixing to say. So they got these dragsters. It's got a student driver on the back. Of them?
Right.
Is that what we're looking at?
And the big school is Frank Hawley.
Okay. Yeah.
He's got the 990 class. He has the 890 class. He's got the alcohol dragster or funny car.
Right.
But obviously, you have to. In his deal, I don't know this for a fact, but if I was guessing, he's probably going to want you to drive one of the slower cars first.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure if your checkbook's big enough, you can go in there and go straight to the top if you wanted to. But it gets pretty expensive because I think that school's $10,000 to run my deal,
Yeah.
and that's 6 runs and everything after that. If you're not licensed in that 6 runs, it's $1,500. It's $1,500 to run after that.
Wow.
That's what it takes to run one.
We need
$1,500 every time.
Yep.
So let's back up, and then we'll let you go because I know you got to go to a basketball game. You fire that dragster up and you head down the track. What's the cost per run to run your car?
He just said it.
Like I say, it's about $1,500 a lap if nothing goes wrong.
Okay. If the blower comes off, it's a little more.
It is
A lot
that.
more.
It is that. Those things, those superchargers, they're new. They're about $33,000.
One.
Yeah, I get it.
But they're hard to get right now. So
Yeah.
there's people willing to pay $50 for them used
Dang.
because you can't get them.
I'd dig around to the shop and see if you got some. Put 'em
I mean,
on
there was a
eBay.
guy at Tulsa that's walking around. He had $50,000, willing to pay $50,000 for one.
Wow.
I mean, geez.
That's,
Well, that's where we didn't cover that, but maybe we'll get a chance
yeah, maybe
after
we can do
the
it again.
Tulsa race.
Yeah.
Do it again because that way you guys are really ingrained in it and understand how the sponsorships work.
Right.
What they contribute both in product and their time and money and fuel, and we can go through that. That's a big part. Nowadays, it's one of the biggest struggles.
Right.
Just like my meet in Riverside Ford is our sponsor for Ford and Shelby and
Right.
now Route 66 Nationals because everything's just
Expensive.
very expensive.
Yeah, I didn't even want to get into that.
We can do that later.
I was
bring it there.
avoiding the, if it's a more of a hobby type thing or if it's an actual.
Yeah.
Well, and that's his job as
Yeah.
the team owner.
Right.
Right.
He's got to drive, but he's also got to get sponsors.
That's
too.
right.
Yeah.
That or my back pocket.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
So, last question, I promise. You do anything other than drag race? You got a
Yes, I have an
race shop or
Well,
excavation?
Yeah, I do excavation. I own an excavation company.
Okay.
So
We kind of dig that.
that's literally.
He can dig it.
On that note,
On that note, we got to go, brother. Thank you for coming and hanging with us
Well, I
for 30
appreciate you
minutes,
having
Shayne. Maybe we can do this again and
Absolutely.
get a little deeper for all of us right here at the Hot Rod Rounds for Prince Earl.
Prince Earl.
be
Prince
sure to follow
Earl.
us on YouTube, Spotify, any places you can get your podcast. We are,
Facebook.
The Facebook is.
Yeah.
And for my buddy,
especially like us on. You please like us on YouTube.
YouTube.
We
like
need
us
some
on
YouTube love.
YouTube. Oh, no. Don't say that out loud. And for Mr. Caspian behind the camera, I'm Randy Pierce. I'll see you down the road.